Hey, what's happening, everyone? Welcome to the Mission Driven Life podcast, episode 187 of the Mission Driven Life. Glad you guys can be here today and glad you guys can tune in to the feed. Hope that there's not a lot of background noise there, but yo, let's tune in. So, hey, welcome to the Mission Driven Life. This is episode 187 of the Mission Driven Life podcast. Glad you guys can tune in with us today because, look, I want to talk to you about really something important. You know, this is one of the last days of the month, and I know the whole month, looking back, has been all about remembrance. You know, and I admit, as the days gone by from Remembrance Day, I wanted to let go, and I wanted to do a podcast on something else, right? And I didn't want to talk about Remembrance Day and honoring veterans, but I wanted to share this message with you all today because I know how important it is to honor and remember. And if you're watching us for the first time, this is the Mission Driven Life podcast. The mission of our podcast is to share the missions of leaders. Now, one thing about leadership is to honor and to encourage and to pay our respects. And that's what I wanted to do this month. That's why I did this. You know, when I look back on my life, I can take a lot of things for granted, right? And maybe you're the same way. You know, we go through our lives, you know, wanting so much more and expecting things. And I know I'm the same way. Sometimes I want more, and sometimes I'm not very grateful of what I have, right? Especially like living in a beautiful country. You know, I live in Canada. I don't live in Africa. I don't live in India. You know, I live in a beautiful country called Canada, right? And what's really cool about this country is that it's like how clean it is and how amazing it is. And this only happened because so many people came before us in our world to fight for us, right? To battle for us. Now, this is what I want to share with you today because I want to talk to you about the history of the poppy. Maybe you care and maybe you don't care. Whatever that is for you doesn't really matter up to me because I wanted to share this message because for all you people who want to take time to honor some people today. So if you want to get a little history lesson, tune in. Feel free to sit with me in this podcast because I want to talk to you about the history of the poppy and what it means, right? And what it means to your vision as you as a leader, as you are living your life, and as you share your own message with the world, and as you find your own purpose, and as you find the impact that you want to make in the world. I want you to know the power of symbol. You know, a symbol that you can have for your movement, but a symbol that means a lot to a lot of people, that can mean a lot to your people in your movement. So this symbol means a lot to me, right? You know, the poppy, like people, you know, in Canada, I live in Canada now, they have poppies where, you know, people wear it on Remembrance Day, right? And in some of our American friends that are watching, you know, the poppy is sometimes worn in America too. But I know in Canada, it's really big. And there are poppies everywhere. You can buy it at the coffee shop. You can drop a coin, then you can grab a poppy and wear it. And the poppy means a lot. It's like a symbol of honoring, right? It means a lot. So let me take you back to the 1900s, to a couple years ago, maybe 100 years ago, maybe 104 years ago. And let me tell you about the history of the poppy. Because poppies actually go way back in time to the Napoleonic Wars, to when Napoleon was there. And, you know, during World War I, countries were clashing, right? Countries clashed to fight over their own freedoms. You know, so like back in France, they had the Allies and the British soldiers and American soldiers on that land fighting in battle against the Germans, right? And the Turkish. And I don't know much about World War I. I like World War II better, but World War I is really cool. Now, poppies, like the thick poppies, actually grew in the graves of soldiers. You know, yeah, that was one of the things people can remember, right? Like thick poppies would grow in the graves of soldiers that would die. So these huge, massive poppies would grow down in these graves. And one man actually seen this, right? Wow, I'm just actually reading a cool fact right now, is that fields that were barren before battle before a battle, they actually exploded with blood red flowers. So like, let's say you imagine fields in France. These fields actually grew. These fields expanded, you know? These fields were just like bare and dry. But after being bombed and bombs were actually being bombed in France, what was really cool is that like huge chalk soils became rich with like lime from all the rubble and all the buildings and all the things that were breaking down in the world, which created soil, right? So actually soil was actually growing there, where the name of poppy is called Papaver roeus, to thrive. And this lime, when the lime started to disappear after the war, the poppies began to disappear. So I guess poppies live on lime. What's really cool is that there was a soldier who wrote a poem about this. And this is Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae. And he was actually a Canadian medical officer, and he wrote a poem once. And I'm actually going to be reading it to you today because this poem means a lot to a lot of people. People hold it close to their heart here in Canada. And, you know, Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae, he actually wrote a poem. He wrote it on a scrap piece of paper in 1915 after his friend died. You know? So imagine, like, take it back to imagine if we were in a war right now and there was bombings happening, people were dying, friends were dying, maybe friends that we met 1 minute later were dying 5 minutes later. So they wrote a poem on a scrap piece of paper on May 1915. What did he know that those 13 lines that he would write would mean so much to many people? In the hearts and minds of people all over the world, this poem would mean a lot. Because John McCrae's poem was actually published in the Punch magazine. It was actually published in the Punch magazine, and so many people started reading this, right? It was so inspiring that a woman named Moina Michael, she was actually an American teacher, and she actually seen this poem. She's seen the value of the poppy, and she actually made a pledge to always wear a poppy as a sign of their remembrance. You know what I mean? That one sign meant a lot to a lot of people. Now, Madame Guerin decided to sell poppies to raise money for children in areas. This lady, she's seen how important these poppies were. There was actually a French woman. She learned of the custom because they seen how in the United States they actually started wearing poppies, right? So everyone started wearing poppies and thought it was cool. And she decided to raise money and sell these poppies to help the kids in France. You know what I mean? So she actually, they actually started raising money for these poppies in France. So just so the kids in France could actually have money, you know? And that's where the Great Veterans Foundation actually started. But what's cool about this, like the poppy is, you know, people started to really join that movement of wearing this poppy. Now, if you're watching it, maybe this poppy may not mean much to you, but if you're a leader and you have your own kind of thing, and you have the power, and you have a movement that you want to change people's lives, you want to help fix up people's lives, you want to be someone powerful for someone's life, look, some people are going to be watching you. And what's really cool is how one person's action can really fucking change the world. You know what I mean? That one person's action can do so much for people's lives. By writing a poem, his movement grew like a wildfire. You know, like a fire was like a small tree, but it fucking burnt the whole wildfire in the forest, right? So imagine that. I want you to think of that and what that means to you, because maybe you have something that you want to do in the world. Because that's the power of one man's actions. He can change the world with his actions. Now, you can change the world with the actions of this person. You can change the world by being like this man who is passionate about this, who is passionate about helping people. He just wrote a poem to honor his friend, but the one thing changed everything. People started talking about him. People started wearing the poppy. People published it in the magazine. Now everyone wears this poppy on a special day. As we look back on, as I look back on the month, I can think of all the things that I'm grateful for, right? I could think of all the things that are so amazing in my life, and I can think of all the I can think of the power of battle. Sometimes I get energized when I hear the sounds of a battle. I've never been in a war, I've never fought in a war, but I've had my own wars, my own battles in my life. And maybe you had your battles. Maybe you're fighting a huge battle yourself right now. Or maybe you know people that are fighting huge battles for themselves. Whatever that battle is, guys, I want you to think about that battle and what that battle means to you. And think of people who are fighting their own battles in life. Especially soldiers fighting and defending against evil people. I think of police officers. They deal with so much, and there's so much pain. There's so much danger that they go through, and some of them die. And whether you like the police or not, I believe in actually that level. I believe in that level of impact. I believe that, John McCrae had a vision. And so did Moina Michael had a vision. Madame Guerin had a vision. After just making a simple pledge, Moina Michael, she made a pledge to always wear that poppy. So what does that mean for you, right? What does that mean for you? Are you making pledges in your own life to do what it takes and to do what you really believe in? Because Moina did that. People probably thought she was stupid for doing that. People thought Steve Jobs was stupid. People think I'm stupid for hanging out on this coffee shop on Saturday working all day. This is what I got here, guys. I'm fucking writing up and stuff, right? People are gonna judge you guys, but are you making that pledge that you can commit to, that you can help people? Are you making a pledge for the people in your team? Is that the kind of pledge you can make? So I just wanted to share that message with you there, the history of the poppy. I hope you find value from this message. I hope you find something. I hope you found the importance of pledge and of honoring people and really showing gratitude to people, especially people that you're close to, people that are going through their own pain, how we can really honor them and be with them. So I wanted to share that with you guys. Hope you guys have an amazing day. This is the Mission Driven Life podcast. Well, we can die any moment, but look at the power of one man's legacy. Look at the power of that one man's legacy made in the world that you can make too. So this is the Mission Driven Life. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Hope you guys have a great day. Episode 187. Take care.